A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a shocking development that could have far-reaching implications for international business, a proposed tax on foreign entities buried within President Donald Trump's latest tax reform bill has sent ripples of concern through the Australian business community. The bill, which has already passed the U.S. House of Representatives and is now awaiting deliberation in the Senate, includes a controversial Section 899 that would impose increased tax rates on foreign persons from countries deemed discriminatory by the U.S. government. The tax rates would start at 5% and could escalate to as high as 20% over time. This proposal has raised alarms among multinationals, superannuation funds, and high-net-worth individuals from Australia, who fear that the legislation could severely impact their investment strategies in the United States. As President Trump arrived at Allegheny County Airport in Pennsylvania, the implications of this proposed tax were already being felt on Wall Street. Stephen Marshall, president of the American-Australian Association, expressed growing concerns among Australian investors regarding the potential consequences of this legislation on cross-border investment and taxation. He emphasized that while the bill is not yet finalized, the uncertainty surrounding its details is causing significant unease. Michael Brown, a senior analyst at the Melbourne-based brokerage Pepperstone, noted that his firm has been inundated with inquiries from Australian and European clients expressing anxiety over the proposed law. Initially overshadowed by the broader discussions surrounding the big, beautiful bill, this tax provision has now emerged as a hidden threat within the legislation, often referred to as a sting in the tail. Although Section 899 does not explicitly target Australia, the Trump administration has already identified several Australian policies as unfair or discriminatory. These include the diverted profits tax in the News Media Bargaining Code, which mandates that tech giants like Google and Meta contribute financially to local news organizations. The administration has also set its sights on digital services taxes implemented in various European nations. The broad definition of unfair tax practices contained within the proposal grants the U.S. Treasury considerable leeway to act against foreign entities, raising fears that the legislation could be weaponized against Australian investments. A briefing note from the global law firm McDermott Will & Emery indicates that the proposal is intended as a negotiating tool to compel foreign governments to retract or avoid adopting taxes that the U.S. considers unfair or extraterritorial. However, if enacted as currently drafted, the rule could significantly increase tax burdens on a wide range of entities, including closely held companies, ultra-high-net-worth families, family offices, multinational corporations, and sovereign investors. Should this legislation pass, it could potentially override existing tax treaties, including the Free Trade Agreement between Australia and the U.S., although such a move may face legal challenges. Stephen Hamilton, an assistant professor of economics at George Washington University and former Australian Treasury staffer, criticized Australian governments for pursuing policies that could provoke such retaliatory measures from the Trump administration. He suggested that while Australia should not capitulate to every demand from the U.S., it should also consider opportunities to refine its tax policies to avoid escalating tensions. In response to the proposed tax, an Albanese government spokesperson asserted that Australia's tax settings are fair and consistent with international agreements. The spokesperson emphasized the government's commitment to working constructively with organizations like the OECD and G20 to establish fair international tax rules that support essential services for Australians. Meanwhile, the Trump administration continues to leverage tariffs as a means of punishing countries it perceives as engaging in unfair trade practices. As the Senate prepares to debate Trump's tax cuts, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has vowed that Democrats will fight the bill, which he claims disproportionately benefits billionaires while increasing costs for ordinary families. In a letter to his colleagues, Schumer outlined a unified strategy among House and Senate Democrats to combat what they view as an assault on democracy and a violation of reconciliation rules. As the situation unfolds, the Australian business community watches with bated breath, aware that the outcome of this proposed tax could reshape the landscape of international investment and trade. The stakes are high, and the implications of this legislation could resonate far beyond the borders of the United States, potentially affecting millions of Australians who rely on superannuation funds and multinational investments for their financial security. The coming weeks will be critical as the Senate deliberates on this contentious issue, and the global business community remains on alert for any developments that could arise from this high-stakes political battle. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.